All right, Walter, take it away.
Oh, I thought you were on this one. All right.
No, I did last week. That's why I pinged you this morning about it. I guess, yeah, my bad. I wasn't clear. Are you good to take it, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, no, I can take it. All right. So just quickly, let's go through, see if there are any of the sub-project updates. Looks like Alibaba has no updates. AWS? Not hearing anything. Azure? Not hearing anything. IBM?
No updates today.
Cool. OpenStack, seems like you have something on CSI migration. How's that going?
We just started testing, so the first tests are okay, but we don't have anything automated yet.
Okay, well, still good progress. Good to hear. vSphere?
No major updates, just working on the next patch version. Not much happening there. We do have an update on CSI though. We finally had, we had a massive influx of PRs coming in from another team at VMware that is responsible for storage. So we're getting to a situation where we actually have, fully functional CSI driver for vSphere that uses all the new bells and whistles of the latest version of vSphere. So kudos to the HCI team at VMware for doing that.
Still good to hear. Awesome. All right, extraction migration. I know we've been having discussions about getting the caps done. So we did get the beta approval for the network proxy. And in fact, just recently, we've had another cloud provider start working on that. So we have a contributor named Shade1 who's been doing some work there. So that's awesome. I don't know if anyone else has anything there.
My only update is that I am working on a prototype. So you've seen I synced upline on this, so I'll be taking point on building a prototype, I guess, for the CCM migration. But that's it.
Awesome. That's good. Did we get anything on the cap, or are we in provisional?
Still provisional.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think yeah, we should discuss the POC that you did on the leader election lock, migration lock. So if we see that this is the path that we should be going through, I can update the cap or open or close the PR so Andrew can update it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you want to discuss that more here or in the working group?
Well, we can go through the agenda items and go back to it.
Okay, sounds good.
And then I added this. Yeah, so we have a initiative. So for folks, just extra context, for instance types, regions, and zones, we're using Kubernetes labels prefixed with beta because when we first created them years ago, we thought we were kind of beta testing those labels. Now that they are used by pretty much all Kubernetes clusters, we want to GA them by just removing that beta prefix. So that's a KEP that pushed to implementable this time, and we will be working on migrating labels to GA in a backwards compatible way. So we won't remove the beta labels for however many releases.
Okay, awesome. All right, we have a public service announcement. 117 milestones are set with priorities.
Yep, I just added that. Last week we did the backlog grooming for 117. These are the items we came up with P0 being highest priority and then P3 being lowest. I know some of these aren't assigned. So if folks in the SIG are looking for things to do, this is what we are trying to work on for 117. And also we do have a next milestone, which if, not high priority, but if anything here interests you and you want to work on it, feel free to dig in, or also feel free to add more issues that you want the SIG to prioritize.
Okay.
That's it.
Would it make sense, let everyone spend until the next meeting deciding which of these they want to do, and then actually go through all the 117s and make sure they have owners next meeting?
I think I need to go through which ones don't have owners. Like I think some of them have. So when I said that some of them don't have owners, what I meant was some of them are assigned, but they may not be assigned. Like the person assigned may not be the best person to work on it at this point. So we may want to reassign. But we need to, go through that and figure out which issues need to be reassigned.
More reason, I think, to maybe do that next week?
Sure.
Or not next meeting? Okay.
Sure.
Does anyone else have any items they would like to discuss? Or should we go on to Yassine's topic?
It's more of a PSA, but some of the PRs to prune dependencies on some of the cloud-specific control loops are merged. Currently, I think only the the node-related controllers are not refactored to get rid of the dependencies on Kubernetes. So I'll get to these this week, I think.
Okay. I know that we had done a bunch of work to split the main node controller into node IPAM and node lifecycle.
Yeah, so these are already split, but the work I'm doing is more of pruning the dependencies to Kubernetes, so we can move CND Cloud Controller Manager to another repository, so that cloud provider can consume it more easily without vendoring Kubernetes.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Jay Pipes? You wanted to talk about a cloud provider AWS pull?
Yeah, thanks, guys. This is just me trying to understand why this is doing this, and I apologize. I haven't been at the cloud provider, the SIG cloud provider meetings for a while. So I thought that we were pulling everything out of the Kubernetes repo, but is it this kind of seems that we're going back on that? And I've read Andrew's response, and I guess I just don't understand what's going on here.
Yeah, so
I was hoping someone could explain. Thanks.
Yeah, so let me first start by explaining the how the staging repo works. And so in Kubernetes, we have a staging repo called legacy cloud providers. And so that allows us to import. So we pretty much moved like all the entry cloud providers to that to the staging repo here. Let me find it. And so I don't want to talk too much about staging, but pretty much it just allows us to work with all these like external repos in one place, but then it allows us to publish it into actual separate repos that can be consumed by other things. And so we moved all the, cloud providers here. And so now all the core Kubernetes import the cloud providers in here, but then we publish this exact repo to this repo out here. And the main reason for doing that is to allow the out-of-tree providers to optionally import exactly the exact same provider they have in the core Kubernetes repo without maintaining duplicate providers. And it's completely optional. Like you don't have to import what's here. But what we were finding is that a lot of providers actually want to port over the exact same provider implementation from what was in tree to out of tree. And so this is just giving you the option to pull in what was in tree. So like, for example, in vSphere, we decided we actually want to rewrite the provider. And so we're not importing this repo. We just rebuilt it from scratch. That
Jay, we are importing that repo for now, and we'll give people a chance to migrate over from it, and then we can rewrite it or change it however we want.
So one other side benefit that that wasn't mentioned is that we have in Kubernetes certain specialized pre-commit rules about build dependency direction. So what this allows us to do is say that things in, sorry, let me make sure I get this the right way around. Things in staging are not allowed to depend on anything that is considered to be Kubernetes private, which is the state of the world should be the state of the world once these things get pulled all the way out. So by moving them as far as staging, while it's not technically outside of Kubernetes yet, it allows us to make sure that certain build dependencies that would be problematic don't get introduced. So it does provide that sort of additional value while it's in that holding area, so that we know that it can actually be taken out entirely and it should still continue to build without introducing a dependency on anything that is Kubernetes private. Hopefully that made sense.
Kind of. So the PR from Nick that I linked to there was what I mean. I guess I don't understand sort of what it's trying to do, because Kates.io legacy cloud providers AWS, that is a symlink essentially to staging. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a standalone repo that is just being synced from the Kubernetes publishing bot from what's in staging. And so any changes, any updates to the provider are still happening from the main tree, but you're importing it from an external repo. And at some point in the future, we're going to cut off the publishing functionality so that this repo becomes standalone. We remove it from what's inside Kubernetes, and then from there, you can either keep updating what's in here or then branch off and build your own provider based on what was in tree or whatever you want. But this is just a convenient way to ensure that like you as a maintainer don't have to update the provider in two separate places. You can do it in one.
And all the references, like the references to anything in Kates is going to go away as soon as we can get it gone. It's just much easier for me to pull those out momentarily just to get it working, and then we can get rid of them, rewrite them. So at the bottom, the route controller, service controller, stuff like that.
Yeah, and so this is part of the work Yassine is doing, where we want to also move like controller cloud, controller route, controller service into the cloud provider repo, so that the cloud provider doesn't have to import the main Kubernetes tree.
Sure, I totally get that. I'm just I am just totally confused why the external github.com Kubernetes / cloud provider AWS repo is importing Kates.io legacy cloud providers.
Jay,
AWS.
Can I explain? This is my opinion on this. We initially were doing this, and then at some point we had sort of copied the code over here, but then we started diverging, and that was something that I didn't want to happen. So I want people, when we actually do this migration, I want people to be able to migrate to the external cloud provider and use the exact same code. And then once we do that and actually stop accepting commits on the entry, then we can, do whatever we want over here. But it's going to make the migration a lot harder if they have to migrate and expect different behavior at the same time.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I mean, I think we could sync offline and
yeah, no, that's fine. That makes a little more sense.
Cool.
Thanks, Nick.
Walter, we can't hear you, by the way.
Who else isn't saying anything? Can you now?
It's a little muffled.
Sorry, my laptop decided to freeze.
Okay, yeah, it's good now.
All right. Sorry about that. Did anyone catch what I was saying at the end?
Nope.
I didn't.
Okay. I had been mentioning the side benefit for having it in staging being some dependency direction. So it makes sure that the cloud providers aren't depending on anything Kubernetes private. Does that make sense?
Yep. But I think while we're on this topic, actually, Walter, can you mute yourself? There's a bit of echo. Actually, I'll do it. Okay. So while we're on this topic, it'd be good to get a census on which providers are planning to import that. So like I mentioned already, like vSphere, it's not going to import it, but AWS is, and I'm not sure what the state of Azure, Google, and OpenStack are. Folks want to give a quick update on those? So Walter, is the Google provider going to import this? Is that the plan?
Unmuting. Sorry, problems unmuting. For a while at least.
Okay, cool. And OpenStack, let's find it here. I think OpenStack forked and did their own thing. So I'm pretty sure they don't import it.
Yeah, we don't import it.
Okay, cool, good to know. And I think, let me just check real quick what the Azure folks are doing, just so we have a good idea of where everyone's at. Okay, cool, so they're importing it. So it's going to be Google, Amazon, and Microsoft for the next little while importing that. So that's good to know. All right, cool. Since Walter's having mic issues, I'll just keep going with this. So I think we're at the end of our agenda. Folks have anything else they want to discuss? Otherwise, we'll just end early. Going once?
So I haven't had a chance to take a look at I think Mike updated the credential provider KEP. So if anybody is interested, I'm going to look at it after this meeting.
Okay. Based on what you've seen, do you want to give us a quick update on, that KEP? Because I haven't read it thoroughly, so I don't know. Like, is it just going to be like a shared secret resource for the creds, or are we doing are we execing into something for the creds? Like, what was the? Let me just find it.
So the initial, are you talking about the initial KEP or the rewrite?
Whatever Mike has out there.
Okay, yeah.
Because I haven't been following what's happening with this KEP. But so it's clear, like we're not, like we missed the 117 KEP deadline, right? For sure. Okay, so it's still missing quite a few implementation details. But yeah, we'll sync up on the sub-project meeting on this one. But are you taking point on it now, or did Mike hand off this work to you, or?
No, there hasn't been a handoff explicitly. Okay. So he did this. So I'll maybe either you or I could sync with him and see if he's going to keep working on it or not.
Okay. Yeah, let's sync offline.
Cool.
All right. All right. Okay then. See everyone in 2 weeks. Bye. Thanks for coming.
All right.
Bye.